TrekTrav, this is Trav. This is episode 102 of Earth Final Conflict, entitled Truth. Stick around, make sure to like, comment and subscribe, and let's get into our review. So we open the episode with Daan talking to like a group of companions. Now, for early 2000 or late 90s CGI, it looks pretty good. Daan is one of my favorite characters anyway, but he is really I don't know. It's a really good moment where they're discussing their announcement of Boone as the liaison. He's sort of like there to enforce the companion's message. It's very clear that he's meant to be serving them and only them and showing that. Even though for some reason he is later in the episode in the FBI or the police building, so is he working for the police or is he working for Daan? I don't know. The companions make the announcement and it is on all of the TV channels, and we cut to that horrible late 90s futuristic bar, and she's trying to change the channel, and I just hate that bar. One of the reporters asks about Eddie from the previous episode, who was Boone's friend who tried to assassinated Jonathan Dawes. He admits that it was his friend. They served in the 01 war. It's very clear this show is meant to be maybe 2010, 2012. Boone openly talks about how they were friends and what's going on. This episode is very much about the CVI, introducing the concept of the little thing in his brain that helps him process memories and information and stuff like that. And it's sort of all through the episode you're getting cut flashbacks. So in this particular moment he gets a flashback of Eddie escaping and he can vividly see it. We get sort of flashes and it jumps back and forwards throughout the episode. Then we're introduced to our newest character, because obviously he's still looking for his wife's killer. The new character, who is Augur, A-U-G-U-R, and he emphasizes that. And he's one of those future tech hacker guys who apparently has a storage of filing boxes and 90s computer screens in a warehouse, and then has a weird technical thing at the back. I'm gathering it's meant to be an abandoned warehouse, but for some reason all of the abandoned stuff is 90s computers and boxes and paper. The information being processed is basically Augur is trying to find out who killed Boone's wife. Augur is a hacker. He's going to try to work things out. Boone gives him a piece of evidence that he found within the car of his wife, which is a little coil thing, and basically says, I need you to find out what this piece is. Augur does, and he finds out later on. Daan calls him in to talk about his wife, or talk about the search for his wife, and Daan sort of goes, you need to endeavour our cause, this is the way it is. Boone, being the smart guy he is, turns around and goes, this search will help, because if it wasn't to target my wife, then it was to target me, and that means that it was because I turned you down or because I'm affiliated with you. And Daan, I sense Daan doesn't necessarily believe all of it, but she goes along with it and it kind of makes sense in her mind. Then Boone does an amazing thing and outright just asks Daan, did you order my wife to be killed?
Did you have my wife murdered? Tell me for what reason I might choose the death of an innocent human. I have never ordered the death of your wife.
And Daan goes, I have never ordered that. Whether she was aware of that is a completely different thing. But it seems in that moment of genuine interest, in a genuine concern for Boone's health. And she also, when Boone goes to leave, goes, I hope you find peace. So then we're back at the shit 90s club, and Boone meets up with Dawes. Dawes basically goes, you need to drop this, we need you to help us. Turns to Lily after Boone leaves, because Boone isn't very sure about Dawes' motivations, points out that there's similarities between Dawes and the companions in that they have their own agenda they want to use and abuse to manipulate to get things done for themselves. So it points out those similarities. Boone then gets annoyed, leaves, and Dawes goes, if he isn't going to task, then you got to kill him. Lily looks, I don't think she would kill him, but it's very much a motivation of Dawes to have his agenda met. So Augur finds out who killed his wife, and obviously it's Judson Core killed Boone's wife, and they lure him to the big warehouse. There is a firefight. Boone gets in that firefight and almost gets Core to answer who ordered the killing of Boone's wife, and then Sandoval turns up and stuns him for future questioning because Da'an is interested in why humans hurt and damage each other. Then we get an interesting thing where Boone looks at him and goes and has flashbacks of Sandoval being there watching everything he's done from the first episode.
You don't have to thank me. Don't worry, your wife never felt any pain. Mr. Core is an artist.
Sandoval talks about how when he got his CVI, he couldn't connect to his wife anymore, so it made it really difficult, and he ended up, his wife went a bit crazy.
Put her away.
You had your own wife killed.
No. And that was my mistake. No, Dee Dee's alive in a sanitarium in Reston. A place the Bureau uses to warehouse people who can't be allowed in society. Informants. Psychopaths.
And he committed her to a home. And you see the sadness behind Sandoval's eyes because his CVI has indoctrinated him so much and forced him to serve the companions so much that he can't find love. He uses that as justification for killing Boone's wife, going, we're not meant to be married, we're not meant to have this other thing we're devoted to, we're supposed to be focused on the companions and only the companions. And Boone, it cuts to Boone's hand with his skrill on it, and he's about ready to pop, but Boone walks away, and Sandoval gives this look where he's sort of in tears and he's sad. Lily's in the background because she arrived mid-fight to help, and then we cut to an interesting scene where we go to the mental hospital and we see Sandoval's wife, and he still sends her flowers, which is a weirdly sweet, emotional moment for Sandoval. And Boone obviously comes home. Well, obviously, not obviously, if you haven't seen the series. Boone comes home and he remembers his wife ordering some flowers, and the moment of kissing and the passion and the love between them. And then he goes, I'm sorry, guys, I'll help you, we'll get through this. Starts watering the plants and goes, we'll be okay. So a sort of a sign that he's going to be moving on from the investigation of his wife and moving more towards the serving the companions and Dawes and seeing what that is all about. Now, if you haven't seen the episode, you've got to go watch. Obviously, there's spoilers, and I should have told you this at the beginning. But I really enjoyed this episode, mainly for the fact that the Sandoval bit at the end. Sandoval's character, and I'm only remembering from bits of the series, Sandoval's character is very, very layered and very, very dedicated to his cause, but has an underlying, you always feel empathy for him, while he's also like a horrible person. And in this episode, it's sort of that scene where he's talking about his wife and why he did it for Boone. In a weird way, you get it makes sense. You get the CVI has manipulated his brain into thinking that's the right thing to do. In terms of Boone's motivation for finding his wife's killer, I think it's good that they got rid of that overarching story quite early. Although it very much motivates the progression forward. I think we got a really good explanation of the CVI, and there's a scene in the episode where he talks. Sandoval asks him, "What did you eat in 1980 something?" And he goes, "I don't know, I can't remember." And then he remembers exactly what he ate and who he swapped his food with at lunch when he was a kid. And it just shows the CVI's capabilities. Another example is him on the computer and he's speeding through paper. So basically, it sort of makes him like Data from Star Trek, to be honest. But it's a really good episode. Definitely is like the second part of a two-part. But what did you think, or what have you thought, or what are your thoughts on Earth Final Conflict? Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Sorry, this episode is a little bit late. And I will see you next week.